So, welcome back to your favorite channel, the Crystal Beam Podcast. Well, sorry that we had a very long break because we were trying to fix things, fix our studios and all that. So, right now we're almost through with the studio, but we decided to update you with some of the happenings in the polity in the past few weeks, especially as it affects the River State political crisis, which we have always spoken about the issues that affect the state. Well, as you may recall, there was a visit by the governor, the suspended governor, Fubara, to the minister of the FCT, His Excellency Nyesom Wike, who was his predecessor and boss. Well, the visit had two governors, two serving governors, the governor of Ebonyi State and the governor of Ogun State. And then another elder statesman, former governor of Ogun State, Olusegun Oshoba, His Excellency. They were with Sim Fubara at that visit. And then, of course, when we made it public, a lot of persons, they didn't believe, they doubted it. And then until the minister of FCT himself, had a media chat and confirmed the story that, yes, Sim had visited him in accordance with the President Tinubu's advice that they should go and find a way to resolve their political crisis while the state of emergency is on. Well, the state of emergency has been there for some months now, and we have the administrator, Rear Admiral Ibas, who's been running the affairs of the state, even with a state budget of over 1 trillion, being presented by the president to the National Assembly. This is what would have been handled by the State Assembly led by Martins Amehule. But unfortunately, that same assembly was also suspended alongside the governor. And of course, that means that there's no government at all. Don't forget that the Supreme Court had actually said so. Since the assembly was not functioning, the four-man of the three-man assembly, which the governor was using in the eyes of the law, never existed. They were illegal, they were not legit. So the Supreme Court said. And then, of course, the president had to act. Well, we all know the story. We have passed that stage. What we are talking about is how normalcy can be restored in the state so that those who were given the mandate, to run the affairs of the state will return to office. That's the governor, Sim Fubara, the deputy, Ngozi Odu, and then the assembly led by Martin Chike Amehula. I think by now, Oko Jumbo and the other two have also aligned with the Amehule team, knowing that that is the authentic assembly and that's the authentic speaker. So all the period of the drama, it's all over. We are now going to face reality. So what's the issue now? The issue is that since Fubara, made that visit, that August visit, that midnight visit, and the subsequent visit to the president in the UK, some elders, some supporters of him felt that it shouldn't have been so. They felt that, he should have continued to hold on and continue to fight. Some felt that since the governors of PDP were in court challenging the declaration of the state of emergency, he should have probably waited, and maybe the Supreme Court would have also declared that Tinubu does not even have the right to declare a state of emergency in any state at all. Don't forget, the president said it was because the national assets were being destroyed, by youth. Well, they said those ones are the ones who support the governor. But anyway, the important thing is that that has been overtaken by events and normalcy has restored, peace has come, and then the state is running, even though Rivers people would have preferred a better deal, because as I speak to you, it's almost like everywhere is quiet. Drop silence everywhere. We don't really know who are those being awarded maybe jobs and all that. A lot of persons feel that empowerment is no longer trickling down, not minding that the man appointed some local government administrators, what we call solad in the local government. Well, there have also been some allegations, of misconduct by some of them. Some also say that the solads are not on ground and do not even know who the people are from the different local government areas, and so they are not being carried along. Well, these are some of the things that come with this kind of situation, and that's the reason why it's important for everyone to conduct themselves well. Politicians ought to know that in spite of whatever opposition, whatever struggle for power, you need to get your acts right. Otherwise, a stranger will take over your house. And that's exactly what happens in River State. So, well, Fubara made a statement sometime, not up to 2 weeks. He said he was chiding his supporters and some of those who were involved in protests and all that. He said, "No, look, you guys have to allow me to do this thing by myself. You might think that you're helping me, but even my spirit is no longer there." And that statement generated a lot of dust, even from those who love him and those who are not with him. And everybody like, okay, if you don't want to go back to office, if your spirit is no longer there, then there's no need for the peace move. There's no need for the reconciliation. Just resign and, take a leave. But it's not always very easy like that. Africans don't um, relinquish power easily. They have what we call the sit tight mentality, even if it's not going well. And well, if he had done that, he would have been a different kind of politician, a different kind of leader, and a different kind of African at a time like this. But of course, me, I know especially Ingo resign. So that's it. Well, he's made that statement and it didn't go down well with a lot of persons, but for some, I mean, he was saying it because he's the one that wears the shoes, he's the one that's elected, he's the one that's been suspended. So he knows, I mean, how it bites and how it feels to be out of government. You are going by the name governor, his excellency, but you're not in power. The red pen taken away from you. I'll be temporarily, but how soon that will be restored is what we don't know. But of course, the restoration of the red pen, the power to sign and unsign, will only come when the government is restored. Well, it's even good that Fubara is talking. We are yet to hear from the Speaker of the State Assembly, Martin Amehule, on this issue, but I think that there are behind the scene meetings and horse trading going on. But the emphasis is on Fubara's meeting with Wike. We also saw recently a video, trending where Wike and Fubara were working together, at least either going in for a meeting or coming out of a meeting. And they say there were some elders who were also present, Rivers elders who were present. Well, don't forget that the likes of High Chief Anam Sarah Ibe has also advised Fubara to go and make peace with Wike. Well, it's also good that they realize this early, because this should have happened long before now, when some of us advised that peace is the only way to go. But if some persons felt that no, I mean, he should fight on and then win the battle, and unfortunately, the question is, did he even win the battle? I don't think so. I mean, it was like a no victor, no vanquish kind of thing, because at the end of the day, the man who came in as sole administrator is a stranger and not even a reverse man. So I think that it was not actually worth the fight. Sometimes people need to be circumspect in the things they do, even the people you listen to, the advice you get from those around you. It's very common here in Africa, in Nigeria, where people sing the praises of a leader without telling him the truth. People are not bold enough, to confront the leader to say, no, look, this is wrong. I mean, a situation where you have an attorney general who's a senior advocate of Nigeria. Well, every lawyer tries their hands to see how they can win the case, but I think that he could have done better, by telling the governor that the best thing to do, I mean, was to have implemented the Supreme Court judgment. He would have been swift about it. Probably wouldn't have been where we are today. Well, that's about that. So the truth is that the peace move, the reconciliation between Wike and Fubara is on, and then very many people also are happy with that. Some say, well, Fubara is only doing that because he just wants to get back to power. Some say he cannot be trusted, considering the fact that he reneged in the past. He made several promises, like the presidential peace deal the 8 point agenda, and he said he was going to keep to it, and then eventually he reneged and gave his reasons and all that. Some have brought so many reasons why, I mean, they cannot trust whatever he says. But I think that it is said that once beaten is twice shy. So I don't think he will want to pass through that road again. He's walked through there. He's seen the landmines. He has also, experienced what it means to be outside power, even when your tenure is still running. So I think he will not want to do that again. Well, whatever it is, politicians, the question is, can they actually be trusted with their promises? We've heard a million times during campaigns where they said they will build flyover, they'll build bridges, they'll build skyscraper, they will do this turnaround situation, and even make Nigeria like mini Dubai. Instead of all that, we still see the slums everywhere. Things get worse. The promises are not fulfilled. So, I mean, I don't know whether it's an African thing or a Nigerian thing. I think that we just need to begin to brace up and then see how we can transform this nation and make life better. Now, let's look at some of the um, issues. The peace deal. The peace deal ought to address certain major issues. The fact that a governor wakes up and then, because you probably have a disagreement with the assembly or the leader whom you think that the assembly is loyal to, and you begin to operate a state without a budget. I mean, who does that? Whether it happened in Plateau State or it happened somewhere, that was in the past. I mean, the circumstances then and now are not the same. People are wiser, the courts are more open, and everybody seems to understand what the laws are now. So I think the peace deal needs to address that fast. I mean, on no account should we have that kind of situation again where the state is being run without a budget or without a properly constituted assembly. I mean, what's a 3-man or 4-man assembly? Who does that? And to think that some of these guys were even lawmakers before now, they have what we call legislative experience, and they decided to toe this path, speaks volume. It means that people are not even elected for the sake of the people. They are elected for their own sake. And I think as long as it goes down well with them, it's okay. Then we are going to also believe that the peace deal will also address the issue of impeachment. The state of emergency, the declaration, didn't address that. The president didn't say that whatever the state assembly wanted to do, they cannot continue to do even if the government is restored. So what it means is that, I mean, that state of emergency, the impeachment threat or notice still stands. It's still legit. Or whatever the reasons why they decided to go for that, are still there. So I think the peace deal, in the course of these meetings and interactions, they will have to discuss that. I mean, it will not pay the state. It will not do the state any good to continue with an impeachment threat. And that's not to say that the governor shouldn't also, do the right things. Because if you don't do the right thing, the people can decide to do what they ought to do. So I think that matter needs to be addressed fast. Whatever they may have resulted to that, everybody needs to realize that we can't continue doing things as if there's no government, as if there are no laws. If you fail to do the right thing, the laws will speak. And when the laws speak loud and clear, you will also pay the price for it, And then some persons say, has Fubara even been punished enough? For the sins he committed against the state, against Rivers people. It's not me, it's the Supreme Court that said so, because some persons now begin to get angry and say, I said. No, it's the Supreme Court. We are talking based on what the laws have said. And the Supreme Court is the final court, even though they may be fallible, but the fact remains that they are the final court and there's nothing anyone can do. So if the Supreme Court has declared that he didn't do well, he didn't get it right, he ran the state like a despot and all that, it's not about me. I'm only quoting what the Supreme Court said. And some persons are asking, now that he's been suspended for some, let's assume the state of emergency lasts for 6 months, and it's not extended further. Is that enough? Has he learned his lessons enough? Has he, been well cooked in the laws, and all that? While some persons say, well, he probably needs to stay out of office a little bit more, a little bit longer, for him to realize, and then have people to teach him the path of governance. And I think that's what actually Wike was trying to do then. I don't know. Maybe he wanted him to have some more experience in the business of governance. And then business of governance is not just to release funds and then build bridges and flyovers and all that. No, it also involves being able to manage opposition, being able to manage crisis, being able to, relate with everyone and carry your supporters along, those who voted for you and supported you. I mean, there's no way it is done that people that voted for you or worked hard for your victory, and you suddenly push them aside and then maybe bring in new people, whatever the reasons may be. So I think it's also part of what he also needs to understand, and then make sure that going forward, he'll be able to manage it. Well, we've seen worst cases, even in Lagos, when um, former governor Babatunde Fashola was governor, and then there was this threat of impeachment and him not returning for a second tenure, but he was able to manage that. And that's why he said, never let your loyalty be tested, because it's not really very easy. Well, I think that, like I said, once bitten, twice shy, he probably would have learned his lessons. And then the other issue many people are talking about is, some say he's been given some terms and conditions, and that's why his visit to the Simplified Movement Secretariat on, I think that was it on Children's Day or May 29th, he was talking to them and he said they should also calm down and allow him to lead from the front, that the interest of the state is much, much more than the interest of any individual or any group, and so whatever may be their interest, may be their likes or dislikes or whatever, they should just hold on and allow him do what he's doing, because it's going to be in the interest of everybody if he does the needful. Yeah, so some persons are also commenting, even on the social media, saying that he may have been given some conditions, some terms, and they hope that he's not also going to sign away the state. But I don't think that even the people on the other side, without conceding that that was actually the reason for the crisis, I don't think anybody will go that route again. I think that they've all learned their lessons on both sides, and they will also be careful. Of course, some states have already started planning for the next election, 2027. And as a sitting governor, that's what he ought to have been doing, and not to be talking about how to return to office. So I think that he needs to do whatever he needs to do fast, get everybody together, do proper reconciliation, get back to his political family, and let them also support him, and see what happens in the next election. Whatever conditions they give to him, maybe some they might ask him to run only for one tenure and resign, and then go away for somebody else. I don't know. They may also reconcile and allow him to run for a second tenure. The important thing is, and some even say he's been asked to defect to APC to support Tinubu. But in any case, you don't even need to defect to APC to support Tinubu. There are still some governors sitting tight in their own parties, and they are still supporting the president. Well, for those who want to defect, as long as we don't have a one-party state, I'm never in support of a one-party state. So those who want to defect for the right reasons. And I know that by the time the elections come, the primary elections, very many of them may not also get the tickets, and they'll be forced to return to their parties. So definitely we are not going to have a one-party state. And that will take me to the next topic we're going to have in the next episode, which is the coalition of politicians, big heavyweights, political heavyweights coming together to ensure that by 2027 they stop Tinubu from his second tenure. So don't go away. Keep watching, keep sharing, and keep liking and commenting. Keep giving us all the advice that we need to make it better for you. So in the next episode, we'll look at the issue of coalition and the 60th birthday of the former governor of Rivers State, Rotimi Chibika Amechi, and former minister. Don't go away. I'll be right back. Thank you.